The United States is running out of patience when it comes to Canada's low military spending. Spencer Fernando reports that the U.S. rips Canada's low military spending. Currently, Canada's defense strategy is to ask the U.S. to protect us, which is an embarrassing position for a sovereign nation to be in. He goes on to say the United States is running out of patience as America continually spends a large amount on their military, thus providing protection to Canada, Europe, and other allies, i.e. NATO. They are getting fed up with carrying such a disproportionate share of the defense burden. And they aren't hiding it any longer. They are telling the Canadian government that you better increase your spending to 2% of their GDP, which Canada is not. According to a recent Global News report, the U.S. Department of Defense sent a letter to the Canadian government slamming our low military spending. One Canadian source told Global News that the United States is concerned that Canada does not take the threat of those countries in the Arctic seriously and want the country to boost its contributions to that area. The Canadian government, they are not concerned about the Arctic. Meanwhile, we're starting to see a military buildup in the Arctic by Russia and China. It says just 7 countries, include the US and the UK, have met NATO's 2% of GDP spending goal, according to the figures released in June. NATO's estimates show Canada is expected to spend 1.27% of its GDP on the military this year, up from about 1% in 2014. So they are barely increasing their spending towards NATO. It says China and Russia are both dramatically building up their presence in the Arctic, while Canada basically does nothing at all. They are not concerned about the Arctic. This Trudeau government is more concerned about spending on social issues, on gender equality, spending it overseas while Canada gets nothing back. They're spending it on everything and everyone except for our military, which is suffering. It says our military spending has been chronically low for years under both conservative and liberal governments. As a result, our NATO and NORAD ally, the U.S., is forced to be responsible for defending all of North America, and that is just not fair. It says this is an unfair burden to put on America. Canada should be pulling our own weight, and as a wealthy technologically advanced sovereign nation, there is no excuse for us to not have a strong military. Additionally, building up our military would mean billions of dollars of economic stimulus, hundreds of thousands of new jobs, and a stronger domestic manufacturing sector, reducing our reliance on foreign trade. It would stimulate the economy, produce hundreds of thousands of jobs, but instead we are shutting down manufacturing. We are shutting down our oil and gas industry. The Trudeau government is going green, and they are not concerned with the military whatsoever. It says, in a dangerous world, Canada cannot take the risk of outsourcing our defense to other nations. We need to build up our military and ensure our nation and our people are protected. Now, this is mainly because of the military buildup in the Arctic. Canada's doing nothing about it. And the United States is burdened with NATO and its military spending and, Japan and overseas in the South China Sea. They are spread thin. And the United States and Canada are doing nothing about the Arctic. And we are seeing NATO being more and more divided more than ever before, till eventually, as we've been saying constantly, that NATO will break apart. But notice the military spending in the Arctic by Russia and China. The prophecy of Ezekiel 38 talks about Gog. And Gog, of course, is China. And there's another prophecy about Russia, talking about how Russia will let China into their land, set up military bases, and then come down and attack Israel. Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, verse 15, notice what it says. It says, and you shall come from thy place out of the north parts, and the margin says the far north. And it says, And it says, from thy place, and it actually indicates a military outpost, military stations. Out of the north parts, you and many people with you, and there's another prophecy about Ishmael, which is Russia, and it has many people with you, and it's speaking of the same prophecy, and it's allowing China to go into their land and come down and attack Israel. And many people with you, all of them riding upon horses and great company and a mighty army. And you shall come up against my people of Israel, that's the United States, the British Commonwealth of Nations, as a cloud to cover the land. And it shall be in the latter days I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes. So Gog and the mighty army that they bring with them are going to come up from the north parts, from the Arctic, and they're going to come down and attack North America, Canada, and the United States of America. For the BICOG Media, this is Peter Salemi.